Alrighty then.
Welcome to Indoor Fun.
Alrighty then. I wanted to talk today about the bridge, your bridge hand, and how important it is to have a very sound bridge. I'm going to show you the two types, the open or the V bridge, and the closed or the loop bridge. Right? And the difference between them and why you might use one versus the other. And I just want to kind of demonstrate it, and I'll just talk about the importance of it. So let me just give you a closer view on each. Stay tuned. Alrighty then. So let's talk about the open bridge. So this bridge is pretty simple, and this is really kind of the one that you might want to learn with to start with. But basically, you put your four fingers down and your thumb, right? Then you bring your thumb and this finger together to form a little V. You try to keep these three fingers nicely on the ground, and then this fourth finger can stay down there as well. And you can bring this up and down depending on how far where you're going to be cueing. So if I'm cueing, low, I'll bring my hand all the way flat and just lift the thumb just enough to create a nice little V right in here. All right. If I need to come higher, then I just bend my fingers upwards, keeping the four fingers down, but maintaining this nice V with my thumb. And now I can cue up top. That's very, very important. So this is a very, it's an easy bridge to learn, but a lot of people tend to be doing odd things with their hands, and you end up not having good control. You're moving, right? And the last thing you want to have is any movement at all in your swing, right? Because as you go backwards here, if you don't have good movement here, right, you're going to be missing good contact on the cue ball. So it's so important to have a very firm base. And that's why this open one is it's a very good beginning bridge hand. And actually, to be honest, a lot of advanced snooker players, actually most snooker players use this particular bridge. You've got kind of the ultimate control of firmness, like a firm base, because all four fingers are nicely planted, and then you have control of going up and down, so you can basically move your cue stick up and down, right? Because what you want to avoid when you're playing pool is having any kind of a downward angle on the cue ball, right? You want to have this cue stick as flat as possible relative to the cue ball and relative to the cloth, right? So you want to have that as horizontal as possible, right? And this particular bridge allows you to move the stick, your cue stick, up and down for ultimate control, right?
As you can see here, both Ronnie O'Sullivan and Efren Reyes use the open bridge. And Ronnie O'Sullivan's the best snooker player of all time, and Efren Reyes is the best pool player of all time, so obviously they know what they're doing. Anyway, stay tuned.
So that is the open bridge. I use the open bridge a fair amount. I tend to use the closed bridge a lot more because playing pool versus snooker, I tend to move the ball a lot more. I tend to spin the ball a lot more, and I have a lot more control over doing that with intense force, right? If I use a closed bridge. So let me show you what a closed bridge looks like. Very similar structure in that you basically have a flat base. The main difference is that you're going to bring this finger and you're going to loop it around this thumb, right? So basically this finger is going to go around and kind of go, right? I use a 3 fingers flat, and then I have this finger that loops and touches the bottom side of my thumb, right? So if I show that on my other camera view, right, this finger loops over the cue stick and then touches this thumb. And then you basically have quite a bit of extra ability to be a bit more forceful, because you have more control over where the stick is when you start to go really fast.
So Earl Strickland uses the close bridge, and man, he is one of my favorite all-time players. Such a powerful player.
So if you try to do an open bridge really hard, you could have that tendency to fall off of your bridge, off of the V. But when you're using the closed bridge, right, you will not lose the cue stick as you go harder and harder. I tend to like the closed bridge because I can manipulate the spin a lot better, because I have more control of the cue stick. But just like the open bridge where you go up and down, the same thing with the closed bridge. You want to try to be as flat as you can, and then you can basically go up just by moving your fingers upwards. So important, right? The fundamentals are what will really make a huge difference. So if you are just starting to play pool or snooker or any other cue sport, or you've been playing for years and maybe you're struggling to be, as good as you can, you're making a lot of mistakes, right? The number one suggestion, the number one thing you should do is get yourself a proper controlled bridge, because once you have that foundation, you will be much more accurate and consistent. And consistency in pool and accuracy in pool or snooker is really the number one thing, right? Everyone's going to miss shots because your angle was off, right? And that will improve with practice and with time. But if you do not have a fundamentally good bridge, you will never become, you won't get to that next level. It's just almost impossible, because everybody else is going to be getting better and better, making fewer and fewer mistakes. And you will always have mistakes that happen because your bridge hand is not properly controlling the cue movement to the cue ball. Now, there's all kinds of other fundamentals, the stance and, how close you want to be to the cue ball. Those, I'm not going to talk about those. I will tell you though, you don't want to get too close to the cue ball, and you don't want to get too far from the cue ball. You kind of want to have some sort of an optimal range. I don't know. I tend to be probably, I move it a little bit, but I'm probably about that, like maybe 8 to 10 inches, 8 to 12 inches. I tend to, not go beyond that, because the further back you are, the more movement you have to control, and your accuracy will get worse. The closer, there's less. And to be honest, every once in a while, if I'm struggling, sometimes one of the things I do to get out of it is I do come closer, and then I get my rhythm going again, and then I go back to my natural bridge distance. Not really going to play any pool today. I just wanted to do kind of just a rough overview and show, hopefully my close-ups on my other camera here, show that open bridge and how, right, you can take it from down on the cloth, low, up, right? And that makes a huge difference. And the same thing with the closed bridge, right? You can start low and then you can kind of come up, right? There's one other, it's not really the bridge hand, well, I guess it is, When you're braking, one of the best and easiest ones, and actually I will just change my camera angle. Stay tuned. Yeah, so on the brake, one of the easiest things to do is to use, right, the banks, right, the cushions as your bridge. And basically by doing that, you just basically put these two fingers down and put the cue stick behind it. And then you can do it however you like, but basically just, you know, those two fingers. And this allows you to really nail it. So if you're having a brake in 8-ball or 9-ball, you really want to get a little extra, then this is a really ideal way of bridging using the cushion, right? You can really nail it. And you'll see, I do that. I use that all the time. Sometimes I do move it up and I go with a closed bridge, right? It's very difficult to hit it hard with a open bridge. I mean, you can do it, but you get a lot more power with the closed bridge and a lot more power with the cushion bridge. Let me think. I think that's all I wanted to talk about in this video. This video was really just about the fundamentals of a good, proper bridge. And the foundation that will give you in your pool journey to more control, more accuracy, and with that, more wins. Anyway, that's it for now. See ya! Thanks for watching. See ya.